Hi, I'm Jesse, and today I'm going to tell you about my crazy weight loss idea. I'm only going to eat food that I can harvest naturally, and so tonight my dinner looks like this. It's 6 panfish that I caught, 5 rock bass and a bluegill, and some radishes and green onions from my neighbor's garden. So I'm scheduled to go hunt elk in the mountains of Idaho in about 6 weeks. And I'm not ready. Physically, I'm not ready. I'm currently 311 pounds. And the idea of hiking up mountains with a 50-pound pack on my back is pretty daunting at this point. And the fact that I'm not ready isn't because I didn't have enough time to get ready. I had plenty of time. I knew for almost a year that I was going on this hunt. But I've been procrastinating, and because of that, I'm not in any kind of shape to go. Now I'm at the point where I need to lose weight fast, so I came up with this crazy idea to only eat what I can catch, in a sense. That should serve 2 purposes. I'll be outside getting exercise, and I'll lose weight in the process. This idea started mostly as a joke. We had family coming to visit, and I was trying to trap enough crawfish to do a crawfish boil while my family was here. And I was telling my wife how much fun I was having, checking the traps every day. I was having a good time. And there's just something intensely satisfying about going out into the natural world and harvesting food with your own hands. I didn't have to pay anyone for these crawfish. They're just available to be scooped up and eaten. You can just go get as many of them as you want. And when you stop and think about it, it almost feels like you're doing something wrong. Like, shouldn't somebody be stopping me? Like, are you sure that I can just take as many of these as I want without a limit, without anything like that? And there's just something that felt right to me about just going and earning my own dinner. During that same few days, we were still eating at restaurants where I would overeat. I would eat way too much food and continue to gain weight. And as I was complaining to my wife about how childish I was, that I had a lack of self-control in this way, I mentioned that people didn't always have this problem. For most of human history, people couldn't find enough food to get fat, much less stay that way. So historically, food has been hard to get. People spent most of their time and most of their energy finding food to survive. That's how they spent most of their days. So I said to my wife, the real problem is that it's too easy to get food. If I was only allowed to eat what I can catch, I'd get really skinny really fast because I wouldn't be able to catch enough to get fat. Well, it didn't take long for that little comment to snowball into the crazy plan that I'm about to show you. I've created a list of rules that I'm going to live by for the next 30 days, but before I show you that, I want to make very clear that I'm not any kind of doctor or nutritionist, and you shouldn't make decisions on what to eat based on this video. So here are my rules. So I'm calling this plan Wild for Weight Loss. And the rules that I'm about to lay out to you are the Wild for Weight Loss rules that I'm going to follow. It's a 1-month experiment to see if I can live off of only the foods I harvest naturally without depending on commercially raised foods. So first, the 3 objectives that I have are 1, to save money, and I threw that in just because I figured it was obvious. If I'm not spending money on groceries, I'll be saving money. The second one is to lose weight, and that one seems fairly obvious also. I'm not going to be able to get enough calories naturally to maintain my overweight status. If I actually follow these rules, I will lose weight. So objectives: 1, save money; 2, lose weight; and 3, to have fun. I like going out into nature. I like fishing. I like catching crawfish. I like hunting, which I won't be able to do much hunting during the summer, which is when I'm starting this. But those are the 3 objectives that I have. Next is a list of what I can eat. So what I can eat are these things. Anything I harvest from nature is the first thing. That seems obvious. If I go hunting or fishing, or I find mushrooms or edible plants in the natural world, I can eat those things. The second thing is anything that someone I know personally harvests from nature. So basically, I'm allowing that either I can go get it or somebody else can go get it, but no one goes to the grocery store to get it. Someone has to go into nature to get it, myself or someone I know personally. the third thing that I can eat is anything I grow in my garden. That seemed close enough to a natural process to me that I don't mind eating food from my garden. The problem with that is we don't really have much of a garden, and so I'm not going to be able to get much for myself. So the fourth thing that I can eat is anything that someone else that I know personally grows in their garden. So I can eat things from my garden or from my friends' gardens or my neighbors' gardens. And then the fifth thing that I can eat are normal condiments and spices and cooking oils used to prepare food. So I feel like it would be way too difficult to try and say I can only eat things from nature, and then I catch a fish and I'm not able to cook it in any other way than grilling it or cooking it over a fire. So I'm allowing for cooking oils and spices to prepare food in a way that's palatable. Now, the next portion of the list is what I can't eat. And there's only two things on this list. First, I can't eat any food that was purchased at a store. And that seems fairly self-explanatory. The reason for that is that's commercially raised food, and that's what I'm trying to avoid right now. The next thing on the list is that I can't eat any food sold commercially. And this is to keep me from going to farmers markets or roadside stands or something like that and buying commercially raised food just because it seems a little closer to being raised from a garden. Because those are commercially raised produce, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. So the two things that I can't eat are, one, any food purchased from a store, and two, any food sold commercially, like farmers markets, roadside stands, and things like that. There is a section of what I'm calling additional rules. And those additional rules, there are 4 of those additional rules, and these are just special situations that I expect I might get into. So the first thing is all food must be legally harvested. I'm not allowed to poach anything. I can't go kill a deer in the middle of July because I'm living off the land. I'm not going to break the law to make these things happen. So that's the first rule in the additional rules section. All food must be legally harvested. The next thing is that any legal modern methods of take are acceptable. I'm not going to limit myself to throwing a spear or to fishing with a piece of string and a stick just because I'm trying to get back to eating what I can harvest from nature. I'm harvesting it from nature with modern methods, and anything that's legal is acceptable. The third additional rule is that if I'm invited to someone's house for a meal, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it and say, you have to go kill something for me to eat. I'm just going to eat what is served. So I don't expect to be invited over for dinner a lot of times during this month that I'm planning to do this plan, this Wild for Weight Loss plan. But if I do get invited to someone's house for dinner, I'm going to eat what's served. And those are going to be fantastic days, I'm thinking, because by that time I'll probably be pretty hungry. The fourth rule in additional rules is related to beverages. So I'm not going to limit myself to only water, but I'm going to limit myself to calorie-free, unsweetened beverages. So this is going to be things like water or sparkling water or coffee or tea, things like that. Things that don't have calories and won't add calories to my diet artificially. Since it's the middle of summer, I'm thinking that I'll probably be eating a lot of fish and maybe some crawfish, and I do have some venison in my freezer from last November, and I'll probably have to eat that when the weather doesn't cooperate so that I can go fishing. But there's not a lot left, so I'll need to be careful not to burn through it too quickly. So there's an additional complicating factor though, and that's that I have a full-time job. I have to go to work during the week, so I can't spend all day fishing. I have at most maybe 2 hours a day that I can fish for my food, and that probably means that I'll be eating about 1 meal a day because I'll come home, I'll go fishing, catch what I can catch, and then come home and fix that for dinner. I have other responsibilities on the weekend, but there may be some weekends where I'll be able to fish longer and maybe stockpile a little bit for a couple days. But either way, it looks like I'll either get really skinny really fast or I'll give up and you'll be able to watch my failure video in a couple days. I'll do regular updates throughout the 30 days and let you know what I'm eating and whether or not I'm losing weight. So check back often and see what it's like to be wild for weight loss.